The busiest time of the year at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Once again, the park has offered a Bring a Friend free deal for all 2019 members and annual pass holders. The dates for this offer took place on December 29th, a Sunday, 30th, a Monday, and 31st, which was on a Tuesday. This same scenario happened last year when Six Flags offered a Bring a Friend free deal for the last 2 days of the year in 2018, the 30th and 31st. Last year, the 30th was on a Sunday, and the crowds for that day were massive. There was traffic jams all over the streets. The freeway exit ramp was backed up for miles. The sheriffs and highway patrol had to get involved and close the entrance to the park and off-ramps from the highway. The parking lot hit capacity, but they were still letting guests in if you walked up the street, even though the crowd levels in the park were massive. Lines for food locations spilling out into the walkways, and the queues for every coaster had gone out the entrance. It was a crazy day indeed, and once we saw the park had offered the same deal with one extra day, we knew it might happen again on Sunday, December 29th of this year. Upon arriving to the park, I was greeted with a line of cars already trying to get into the parking pay booths. They were already parking cars in the dirt lot past Scream. I was surprised at their preparation for the parking madness. They were parking 2 lines of cars at the same time. The lane on the left was being parked in the lot in front of Scream, and the right lane was filling the dirt overflow lot. Usually the park will condense the lanes into one and park one row at a time. They knew from last year that it was going to be crazy busy, and the parking cars fast was the name of the game. They had so many parking team members present along with staff that was in other departments such as Six Flags security helping out. Inside the park, I first went down to see what was going on with the new coaster, West Coast Racers. The ride is still in technical rehearsals, and only Six Flags members and pass holders can ride the attraction at the moment until around 7 p.m. After that, anyone can ride it. The coaster officially opens on January 9th, which is after the crazy holiday crowds. West Coast Racers had not yet opened as it was still conducting some testing. The line was forming and the ride didn't open until around 12:30. After that, the attraction kept breaking down, which is quite common lately. I hope the park can figure out all the issues soon. The line for Apocalypse was piling up towards the entrance walkway, and I saw guests turning around once they saw the line up to that point because inside the Helix is a huge switchback system that could take a while to get through. In the rest of the park, the lines were getting longer. Over in DC Universe, the line for Batman was visible from the walkway, and the large switchback section under the coaster was filled up. The line for Teen Titans Pizza was out in the walkway, and other small attractions, such as Wonder Woman and The Flash, had their queues completely filled up and about to head out the entrance. The biggest ones were over by Scream and Twisted Colossus. It's rare to see the line for Twisted Colossus and Scream head out of their entrances. The line for Twisted went down the walkway and then back up. Later on in the day, they had to add an extended barricade queue since the normal one filled up. Good thing was all 3 trains were running, so the wait should have moved at a decent pace. The craziest thing is seeing Scream with such a long line. I'm not sure how many trains they were running, but if it was one, then that line was going to take a while to get through. Another ride to talk about is Crazanity, with all the switchbacks under the roof full and the line heading down the ramps. Later on, I saw that the line would wrap around the planer where the Crazanity sign is and head towards Jammin' Bumpers. Crazanity is also a slow-loading attraction with not too many riders per cycle. The line right here is definitely over 2 hours. The Full Throttle Plaza was overwhelmingly crowded as well, and I think it's because the lines for the food locations here were stretching past the little circle Christmas tree set up in the middle. And another unfortunate thing was the Full Throttle was only running 1 train that day. The wait times are going to be a little slower, but I don't think by too much since the ride experience is already very short. When they're running 2 trains, guests are exiting 1 train and the other has already returned from its circuit, usually before the air gates open for the next guest. The line for X2 was filled. The coaster didn't open until around 2 hours after the park did, and this was taken shortly after. I guess people waited around for it to open because the queue filled up very fast. The line for Chop 6 went in all directions, even through the dining tables where guests were eating. I found it strange that they didn't have the single queue for multiple windows today. It was 4 long separate lines. So yes, the park was indeed busy. Long lines for all the rides and food locations. Flash Pass was definitely a huge selling point today, and upon leaving the park, I saw quite the line for purchasing Flash Pass and Diamond members getting their daily skip the line passes, if they aren't already sold out. The lines were long, and rides that had Flash Pass made the lines even longer. I don't think West Coast Racers was using Flash Pass yet, since it's still in technical rehearsals. Some of the more popular attractions like X2 and Twisted Colossus are gonna have slower moving standby lines due to all the Flash Pass users. Walking back to my car in the parking lot, there were still many guests walking to the park entrance. They were still parking cars in the overflow lots, and the rarest thing ever is when they park cars on the opposite side of Feed Mill Road. This is essentially the overflow lot for the overflow lot, a last resort option for the park since they'd have cars cross a public street to get to it, and parking team members would have to guide traffic and guests. At around 4 p.m., the parking lot had filled up based from a tweet by the park. They stopped parking cars for a short amount of time before they tweeted out again about 90 minutes later that the parking lot had reopened. The last time the park closed the lot was last year during the same deal on the 30th. Although it wasn't quite as busy this year since the streets weren't at a standstill, it was still enough for the parking lots to reach capacity. I did leave the park a little early, so I wasn't able to capture the full effect of the crowds at around 5 p.m., but it was still much busier than what the park can handle. Well, that just about does it for this report. I'd like to recognize all the team members that are working during the busy holiday crowds and remind guests to be nice and patient with everyone in the park, both the guests and team members. It's a stressful time for both parties. It's such a convenient time to visit a theme park, with most being on vacation and family members over for the holidays. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe to the channel for more updates on Six Flags, Magic Mountain, and other happenings at other Southern California theme parks.